you.
Hi.
Oh,
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Not hear you
How
at
are
all.
you?
Sweet.
Right, thanks. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Yes.
Good. Hi, Ella. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm good. How are you guys?
Right.
Good,
Alright.
thank you.
So Andra sent me a message the other day, one of the GMAers, and says, "Where's module 5, Elaine?" I went, weird. So I went on to Thinkific, plotting around, like, where is module 5? Where is module 5? So I sent them a message. It's like, no, you've uploaded something and then take something down, but you're still in draft folder, nothing in draft folder. So I went into complete panic mode. I was like, where is it? Where's it gone? Anyway, it's all sorted because it was in the drafts. I've re-added extra stuff to it, Walmart, and I've just uploaded it. So you now have a whole module on planning. So that I'll probably move it around because I've actually done it. It's module 5, and really it should be module 4. So because I've got the content planning section first and then 5, but I'm literally walking you through all the things you've done and then how you pull it together. So I've used a few things from Storm, Polly, your vlogs and stuff like that. So as great examples.
Okay.
Yes, so you'll have to let me know, see what you think of it. And I've actually put in some detailed stuff as well, because I know some of the surveyors are like the detail, and well, you know, it depends on how you learn, isn't it? But so if there's anything that you think that could be more detailed, I can upload. So I've added a couple of extra like documents to go with it, which has got a little more detail in it. So yeah,
Okay.
and it works out well because December's newsletter was all about planning.
Yes,
So
I do remember.
grand.
Yes.
Right, who wants to go first?
I've got. What do you want to know?
What do you want to know? What do you want to know?
I haven't really got any questions today, to be honest. Just thought I'd come on and see if there's anything I could pick up. Always learning. So yeah. So no, I haven't got any questions really at the moment as it stands. I've had a meeting today with our tender guy that does all our tenders, and we've basically decided, or he said that, you know, he thinks I said, well, what do you need to enhance the tenders to make them stronger? And he said, thing is, he said, we're mainly losing, anything we do lose isn't on our quality, it's on price. Which, well, it's true, you know, we're supposed to be judged 60% on price and 40% on quality, but it's always down to price, whether that's a private client or the government clients. So he made the point that we don't really need to enhance our tender package. We need to educate more. We need to educate people that don't know they need us yet. So that's what we've decided we're going to work on the next 6 weeks, alongside some other stuff.
Funny you should say that. So I put a poll out, which I think you've commented on. I've got to go back because I've had that many comments on it. Phil Angel actually started it off because he sent me a direct message because he was getting
Phil Angel quite well.
Yeah.
Is he a member of GMA?
No, he's not. No,
he likes to chat, does Phil?
Right. Well, he sent me a message about the tenders. And he says he's peed off about all these tenders because he says, I said, well, who writes these tenders? And he wrote, morons.
Well, ironically, Toby, who's the guy that, my guy that I work with, said to me today, he said, you know, Phil Angel's tender. Phil Angel phoned Mike last week and said, I want to be your sole provider of drones. I want you to lock you into a contract. Mike said, we don't work like that. Apologies, Phil. You're very good at what you do, but we don't work like that. And Toby said to me today, he said, Phil Angel can barely be bothered to present to us a full tender. So that's ironic, isn't it? That was Toby's exact words today.
That's interesting.
So you have to practice what you preach, don't you?
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. So I'm not saying the guy isn't good at what he does, because he is very, very good at what he does.
Yeah.
but you can't. Yeah.
Well,
We've worked hard on our tenders,
Yeah.
having things on our website that Toby can pull in as examples and things like that. We've worked hard on that for 2 years. So
yeah. But it's what you
Um,
just said previously. It's working on that pre-buying journey content to educate the buyer.
yeah.
And that's what's coming out. This poll that I've done, I've had 88. It's crazy. I don't know if have you seen it, Ella? Oh, say that again.
Didn't see it.
Okay, yeah. You're all like then. Okay, so I've had 89 votes, and 39% are saying it's the client's fault, not the, and then the 36% survey businesses not adapting to change. But I'm going to write a paper on it. And
You can't blame the client.
You can't
Never.
blame the client.
You have to educate the client.
Correct.
Interesting. The majority is blaming the client. That's so interesting.
Oh, say that again. You've got Darth Vader voice.
It's so interesting that a majority was blaming the client. That's
Yeah,
so
majority
interesting.
is blaming the client. So I've had how many votes? I've had 89 votes. 32 people said the survey business. 35 people said the client. And I've put in the poll, explanation of poll, client is not understanding what a surveyor actually does, therefore going on price. But what I'm going to write in this paper is the surveyor is the problem. The business is the problem. If they don't communicate the message, the client will only go on price.
Absolutely.
You see, I find that I absolutely agree, and of course you're right, but it's really hard from my point of view. Ella, I don't know your background at all, but I am not a geospatial expert. I'm very much in a supportive role. So getting the content to write, to educate is where my stumbling block, because I sit in a meeting every week with my colleagues and say I need content, and it is like getting blood out of a stone. And it could be so much better if they could only see that is what will bring in more customers. So they give me the very basics that is the quickest thing they can do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm working for a very small company. It's only me, my dad, and his wife who work for this company. My dad's been in the geospatial industry for his entire career, basically, and we resell equipment. So we basically just broker equipment. I came into the business last year and basically had to build marketing for them because they just didn't do it before. So my challenge is some of the things that they want to talk about in blogs are too technical, like it goes right over my head. So I have a very difficult time finding a middle ground for where something like I know I can write well versus something that's going to be way over my head.
Do you write it and then give it to them to read and check out? That's what I do. And then invariably it gets spec'd up, I suppose, is how best way to describe it. They spec it up a bit, make it a bit more technical. But how do you know who your client? I mean, if you're reselling equipment, surely most of your clients are already know what they need. Do you have anybody at the very top of the funnel that doesn't know what they need, if you see what I mean?
But a big part of my dad's job when he's selling something is to find out exactly the piece of equipment that somebody needs. Sometimes they'll inquire about a certain piece of equipment that doesn't necessarily fit the job that they're going to do. So my dad acts as like a coach. So he will get on a Zoom call with them and coach them through what is going to be the best for their project. And if it's not within their price range, we'll find something that is able to work for them at the price point that they need it to.
So there's your content pieces right there. What is your dad answering? That could be a content piece.
Absolutely. Right now, what I'm working on actually is selling him to let me market on Facebook because he's not letting me do it yet. So I'm building a business plan, and that's why I'm hopping on this call, because I was hoping to ask you guys some questions. I know Elaine markets on Facebook, but if you too, Polly, market on Facebook, I'd love to hear.
No, we don't.
Your experience. Okay.
No, we don't, because we're selling to engineers and academics our services, and they simply don't use it. They may use it in their personal lives, but no. We have a presence on there because we have a presence on Instagram, just to really be part of the geospatial community is the reason that we do it. So it's only really LinkedIn that we connect with our clients. But I know that the followers that we have on Instagram and therefore on Facebook, because I just treat the two as the same thing really, are mostly international surveyors, geospatial surveyors, which are your clients, aren't they? So yeah, so no, it's not for us, but it's definitely for you. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, what I've done, the research that I've done is the manufacturers that we work with Regal, Optech, Phase One, Vexcel, they all have these really good Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, YouTube pages. And I'm just thinking for profit wise and our law of averages with the website views, that if we can increase the views to the website, if it's quality views, then we'll increase our leads and then hopefully increase our sales. So I'm just trying to widen that funnel to get more people. And we also do a lot of business with different countries. And the reason why I'm pushing so hard for Facebook is because India is the largest population that uses Facebook, and we do a lot of work with India. So from what you just said, you get most of your leads or all of your leads from LinkedIn.
We get leads, any leads from social media via LinkedIn, but a lot of our business comes now from referrals within organizations, because you know, we work for companies such as Jacobs, who are 30,000 strong, you know, and so yeah, but we don't work internationally at all. Our services don't go into, we can do it, but we're not competitive. To mobilize our equipment and our people abroad isn't competitive with other competitors that are already based in that country. However, we aren't a typical surveying company, because we are very specialist and niche. We're not a multidiscipline company, so we should be used, but we're not competitive, which goes back to what we were talking about with price, doesn't it? Really? Yeah.
I think, Ella, from a Facebook perspective, it's going back to your target audience, which you've just talked about. So if you're wanting to increase sales in India, test it out on a small segment. So focus your Facebook marketing purely on the Indian market. So don't worry too much if it goes overboard into different areas, but focus purely on that and see what then link click-throughs you get through to the website and what type of product, because I'm guessing that you'll know what type of product sells well in India. Yeah. Okay. So then promote that on that customer journey, the questions that they need to know that you can put on there. So isolate it. Then, and like, almost like what do they call it? There's a word for it. Can't think, but literally like do like a pilot project, so to speak. So like give yourself 6 months to build the Indian followers in that segment, and then particular products, and see how you go with that, and then build on that.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, Elaine, where do you get most of your leads? Like if you had to choose one social media site where you would get leads that sign up for your GMA, where do you find those people?
LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, LinkedIn. And to be fair, I would probably say from a manufacturing point of view, you're selling, LinkedIn will be your core for your global distribution anyways. LinkedIn, but again, it goes back to your buyers, your markets, your buyers, and then segmenting those markets. But if you know that your profit margin is really good with Indian companies, then try it, see what happens. And again, it's all about noise and about bringing that, not necessarily noise in general, but having your focus on that top of funnel, and you're building that wider audience so it comes into that funnel. But be careful with it on, like, if it's not profitable, don't push it. Focus on your profit. Growth and profitable markets are your two areas. But if you know the market and it's low hanging fruit for India, do it.
Okay. A challenge that I'm running into with LinkedIn is I just feel like we've maxed it out. Like we have a total of like 18,000 followers right now. It hasn't really increased in the past few months.
We tried direct messaging them.
I have not tried direct messaging
Because
them.
we don't have anything like that kind of volume of followers. But what we had, what I had was a little giveaway, if you like, a digital giveaway, which was a calendar which said, this is the best month to get this type of survey done, et cetera, for the whole year. I sent it out to 84 people in December and I got 40 replies to say thank you very much. We've ended up with 2 presentations to do to various clients because of it. Yes, they were existing, both of which were existing companies we work for, but we're going to new engineers within there. And I just think it's really inoffensive and quick, and people do respond. It's not offensive in any way to get that. In fact, I think that's better than actually, and I know Elaine would probably disagree because you say don't do it on rented land, but than the emails. I've had much more response to that than the emails I've sent via MailChimp.
I've got a higher open rate on LinkedIn.
Interesting. I got a really high open rate for my newsletter. That one we usually walk out with a lead for each newsletter that I send out.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm backing you up there, Polly, 100%. Direct messaging,
Well, you told me to do it, so I did it.
Direct messaging, it works every time. I mean, I get most of my leads come through there, and my newsletter is good, but I find my newsletter is more, I use my newsletter as informative and then to trigger certain things. And then that integrates with my LinkedIn posts and my argumentative posts, like the poll I put out yesterday. And that boosts then the awareness of it. And then I get the direct messages. So I find that the combination of those 3 things triggers then the direct message. And people are lazy. So people are on LinkedIn. They'll go straight to LinkedIn direct message.
Did you send that poll out on your personal page or your company page?
My personal page. Yeah. And the thing is, like both you, Ella and Polly, you're building your buyer personas on your profiles. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't matter that you're not a surveyor. I'm not a surveyor. It's like, but you're gaining that knowledge and that respect and building it and sharing that information. It's the same what I've been doing with Erin. I says, build your list of people. It might be the same list as mine, but build them up, because you, Ella, for example, you might be able to answer something in layman's terms where your dad will be too technical. So actually, and again, going back to that buyer persona, if that buyer persona you're selling to is not a surveyor, or it's the business manager or the administrative purchaser, they're not going to want technical anyway. They've got an idea of what the technical is, but actually, is it going to solve my problem?
Usually our buyer personas are CEOs or big decision makers of companies. So that's why we've been marketing on LinkedIn. And that's why I am a little hesitant to move it to Facebook. Part of the reason that I wanted to start other social media profiles was just kind of to build the brand more and to give us more.
Why can't you do both? Or all of,
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing right now. I'm trying to sell my boss, my dad, on letting me start the other social media pages because they've had the LinkedIn for a long time. He said that he tried Facebook, but he didn't really market. He just posted things and didn't interact with others.
No plan.
Exactly. So I'm trying to say that we can build a bigger and better brand the more we branch out and the more people can see us, because just like we were talking about earlier, they don't know about us yet. So we have to introduce ourselves. So the more eyes we can get in front of, hopefully that will mean the more leads that will come in the long run.
So I definitely do a pilot project, put a little piece of paper together and a pitch to your dad, to your boss. This is what I want to do. Give me 6 months, give me X amount of budget. I want to go from whatever your following is at the moment to this following. And these are some of the things I'm going to do to get there. And if I don't hit that, then we won't do it ever again.
Okay, I like that.
It's a pilot project. You can do it. The other thing you've got to remember is, there's two things actually. Me and Erin actually off to Social Media Marketing World in March in San Diego. I'm really interested to meet up with the LinkedIn people and YouTube and hear what actually Facebook's doing, because YouTube, being Google, is going after the meta space. So they're going after Facebook and Instagram. So I'm really interested to know how that's going to impact engineering firms. So because they have quite a lot of engineering, which is bizarre, companies that go to Social Media Marketing World. NASA was one of them. I was like, NASA goes to Social Media Marketing World.
That's funny. Oh my goodness, I would have never guessed.
No, it's the same with Content Marketing World. So I will be able to give you a little bit more latest updates in after March. It's 15th of March is the week. So but yeah, so I'm quite interested. So the other thing maybe to think about is building your YouTube channel on education. So educating the buying journey, the full customer journey through videos, which you could do, because they don't need to be technical.
That's something that I'm really excited to start doing, but I also have to sell them on that too. So I'm trying to start easy with Facebook just so I can build a presence on there and then slowly integrate other forms of social media, because with YouTube too, I can just share that across all platforms.
Yeah. That's what we did. That's what we've done.
Yeah, so that's
not very often. I'm not saying we do it all the time, but we have done it, and it is good.
You'll find with, quite a lot. Our if you take the geospatial markets, the markets that use geospatial technology and services, they're very much lurkers. So we have a lot of people,
What does that mean?
They're looking, but they don't comment.
Okay.
And you can tell that by your reach usually. So I'm like, that post, that poll.
That's why I like Instagram stories. And now you could get that with Facebook stories, because I do that. When I want to see who's stalking me on Facebook personally, I put it as a story to see who's looking.
You're absolutely right. That's perfect. LinkedIn did it briefly, and I started doing it, and I had tons of people on there, and I was like, I didn't know who you were, so I'd send them a link. I want to be your friend. It was good, and then they got rid of it.
So do you guys have any benefits or disadvantages to Facebook marketing that you could give me some insight to?
So me personally, from my client base, I've never really pushed it. I know CSTI I've used it quite a bit in New Mexico. They're a survey company, and it seems to be all right for them. They get a lot of traction off Instagram and their stories because they share a lot of their.
But who are their clients? Are they selling to homeowners and things like that?
It's a mixture. They do a lot of work with civil engineering. Yeah, they do a lot of work with civil engineering, and they do a lot of work again with building contractors and stuff like that. So that's quite interesting. I know working with the Leica guys, Machine Control does very well on Facebook. So we get a lot. So they're Machine Control selling to engineers and road people. They get a good reaction on Facebook. So again, it's going back to that market. Survey services, I'd be like, I've not seen a big dent, but then I've never really pushed it because my default is always been LinkedIn. That you just need to use strategies to improve your LinkedIn to get more followers. That's why things like polls work really well, and especially argumentative polls. That pricing one I did, that got so much interaction, it just kept going. I still get people commenting on it now, even though the poll's not open anymore. So it's like, it's pushing it. And remember, Ella, there's only you doing it. So if you expand it and go into Facebook, even though if you do the pilot program, great, but if you expand it, your time gets spread. So it's like, so don't think to yourself as well, okay, is this a wise thing? So maybe do some testing with some of your customers, maybe reach out to some of your buyers already and just say, do you get information off Facebook? Find out if they're actually using groups on Facebook, that sort of thing. Here's a person that can answer that question quite well. Here's Janelle. Hello. Hello. Janelle, Ella, Polly, Janelle.
Hello, hi.
Oh,
So we're in the thick of it, Janelle. So Janelle has done a lot of work. So a bit of a long story short for Janelle. I worked with Janelle a long time ago. They were resellers of Trimble equipment, laser technology equipment in which geographical sectors did you cover? Was it just Idaho?
no, we had pretty much, so we had Idaho, Washington, Oregon, technically Utah for the mapping stuff, California,
A lot.
Alaska we could compete in a little bit, but we weren't exclusive dealers. We did actually have quite a bit of competitive dealers in our territories.
Yeah. So then it was a family business. Janelle did the marketing for the family business. They sold off that, and she's doing what I've done, set up marketing consultancy. So she's helped me out with she helped me out with CSTI in New Mexico, and especially from a GIS, all that sort of stuff. So it's a great combination. Anyways, cut a long story short, Janelle, Ella is a reseller of equipment, LiDAR equipment, and Polly's a surveyor. Her business is surveying. So we were just right in the thick of it, talking about Facebook marketing, actually, from a client perspective. Should we go after it? What type of market? So Ella, have you got some questions for Janelle, and that she might be able to give you a little bit more of a spin on it?
Absolutely. So it sounds like from the description that Elaine just gave that you used to kind of do the same thing that I'm doing currently.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, did you see any quality leads from Facebook if you chose to market there?
So we did somewhat market there, but we did it in a way that was almost like a hands-off marketing thing. So we didn't use it as a true marketing channel. We utilized it as a way to build a community. And it was in the pretty early days of Facebook, when we sold, what year was that? That was like 2016, I think. So from like 2012, kind of the early days of Facebook, and being able to have a business page on it through there, we launched a blog, and our blog was actually really successful because not only did we have mapping, but we also had proprietary software and like the mosquito control. We were an Esri Gold partner, so we did a lot of GIS software development. And then we had water resources and water quality instrumentation that we sold into, as well as utilities management. So like landfills with their methane releasing, we sold a lot of equipment on measuring that. And so since we had all of these really diverse, forestry and that kind of stuff, we were able to put out a lot of different types of content through all of our sales team. And Facebook was a way that you could actively share links. So back in that day, we had basically Facebook and Facebook and Twitter, because LinkedIn didn't even have business pages yet then. And Facebook, you're reaching people in their personal lives. And so you got to think of what makes your content do well on a Facebook page, and that's engagement nowadays. And when you're asking somebody to engage in your posts, it's going to be liking, commenting, and sharing. And when they're friends and family, they're literal friends and family, they're not going to really share their professional life with their friends and family on things that are exciting, because their friends and family aren't going to share the same excitement like their colleagues would. So getting somebody to actually actively engage on Facebook is really difficult. And so that's where you've been seeing the rise of like Facebook groups and creating that community. Or what we did, instead of having focus on like a business branded Facebook page, we had industry, almost community lifestyle pages. So we actually owned water resources management Facebook page, forestry, we owned mapping and GPS, those pages. And so we were getting massive communities on those. And the hard part is as you know, you're a reseller with a territory, and the internet is a worldwide big thing. So how do you get not all of these people from people that don't matter, because you can't sell to them anyways? You're kind of confined to this geographic territory. And so that's one thing you've got to think about when it's like that, worth the effort is, can I pinpoint who I need to target enough that I can reach the people that I'm actually supposed to be reaching, instead of all of these extra people that doesn't matter because I can't sell to them. 2, can I build an engaged community? Is that possible in this channel? And so I'd say those 2 things are kind of what you have to weigh on whether or not it's worth it on the time and energy to manage it.
So how did you get your leads? Like, did they come in through Facebook or Twitter? Did you guys have like a different way of obtaining leads?
So I'm kind of a firm believer when it comes to like professional business to business sales. When you have like a GPS receiver that costs $300, that's an easy sell. But a lot of what we were selling were, a $90,000 base software install, and then you have to pay, like thousands of dollars in maintenance a year, plus all your equipment. So you're dealing with like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's not going to be like, oh, I saw on your website, sign me up, purchase right now. It's a long lead time, and you really have to nurture those people. So we really pushed on taking our leads that came in off channel and nurturing them long term. And that was in combination with the sales team. So me and the sales team worked together a lot to develop things together, whether that was content that we put out, webinars that we routinely did, our email newsletters. We had those segmented out by industry. And so we'd give them pretty relevant topics to do that. And so you've got a lot more complicated things than just a quick Google search of I need this and then purchase. It's, I have this problem in my business. I'm looking for somebody to solve it. In reality, there's probably about 10 different solutions that could solve their problem. So it's just figuring out for them how you can go to that problem solving instead of that transactional sale. And so just one marketing kind of activity is pushing that transactional sale. And that's not the relationship that you want, because those are going to be low value, low dollar, quick off, one-off sales, not the nurturing, big getting kind of in their organization long-term. And so that's where you have to combine it with many different things. And so, maybe they saw a blog post on Facebook and then they went to your website. And then they were like, oh, they have all of this other great content on here. I'm going to subscribe to their newsletters. I would always give my click reports for my email newsletters and open to the salespeople that had them in their territories. And then they could reach out to them one-on-one and say, hey, I saw you were, checking out this content. Do you have any questions? Is there anything I can answer? And then the salesperson would start to build that relationship with them. And then we would hand invite them in the region to events that we were doing. And so it's taking impersonal marketing, which is like putting out a Facebook post, and creating it to be a very intimate relationship through your sales team and through your marketing team too.
I really appreciate that.
That's really good. That's
we,
really good.
We do deal with selling LiDARs and medium large format cameras. So like you were saying, these are hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. And that's kind of something that I've been stuck with, because I'm so used to just selling, like hard sell, but not necessarily building that relationship, which is my dad's strong suit. Because I mean, half of our sales this year came from pre-existing relationships that he had built with clients over the years. So that's really interesting what you say about you can still do the transactional sale, but then following up. And I love that thing that you just said about reaching out to people who open the newsletter and who are clicking through. That is a brilliant idea, and I'm definitely going to do that. I really appreciate that.
It works really well. Sometimes people get a little creeped out by it, or they're just like,
yeah. I was going to ask, how do you stop that happening?
You have to get real subtle with it. So like you already know who's opening and looking at your emails. And when you have that list, it's kind of all about the approach with it. So you'd be like, well, I've been tracking you for a while. Like, you don't want to do that. But you just, are kind of like, well, we have this content out here, and it's relevant to specifically you in your area and what you're doing. I just wanted to share this and pass this along. Do you have any questions on it? And you already know that they've clicked and looked at it. So then they're like, oh yeah, I saw it. So either they can contribute a conversation starter back, or they do have questions on it. So you can go the really subtle, easy way of not, we've been watching you, but more like, hey, I know this is relevant to you. Do you have any questions? I just wanted to share it. Yeah.
I usually, if all the people that open, because I sent out the warm app in December, and I've had loads of people send me it, and I'm like, you're not on my list. How have you got this? They usually forwarded or whatever. So I go and stalk them out on LinkedIn, and then I ask them to be my friends. And then that's how I go in from that side. And you're right, how you, this might be of interest to you, especially if they've got loads of information on their LinkedIn page. It's like a no-brainer. There's a couple in there that have actually come from DOTs. So I'm like, actually not quite sure where you are in this. And then the profile's not very good. So I just keep nurturing them. And there's one guy that sent me a message 2 days ago. He says, oh, can I have the warm out? And I'm like, oh, you're not on my list. Which company, where are you from? And he actually replied, oh, it's because I'm using a different email. This is the email that I'm registered for. Oh, right. You're working for this Department of Transportation. Okay, cool. What do you do in your department? So I've actually started an email conversation because the guy didn't give me enough information. And I didn't want to just send him the warm app.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Well, and marketing itself, people put a little too much weight on what they think marketing is. Marketing at the end of the day is just a philosophy of how you're going to communicate with people. And then depending on the philosophy, you pick your tools out of your toolbox for that. And so Facebook, for instance, would be a tool. How are you going to use that tool to realize your strategy and the philosophy that you're wanting to take? And so at the end of the day, Facebook might be a tool that you're using, but you don't have to put all of your focus and energy and time into it. It could literally just be, I'm going to share my blog post because I can share a link, in hopes that when somebody clicks this, they go here, and then the next step for them in their journey is to take that relationship off Facebook. And so it could literally just be a stepping stone of somebody discovering you, and then immediately to get them into a channel that you can nurture long term. And so your Facebook strategy might literally be like one little first checkbox, and that's it. And then you're done with it, because it might not be relevant to what, is going to get you sales, and what is going to get you leads, and what's going to build that community. So. And that's perfectly okay. Not every tool is appropriate for every business. So get in the same industry, because your geographic location's different. People utilize tools differently around the world. Like, for instance, like Africa, my brother lives in Cape Town. They use Twitter way more than they used Facebook. They didn't really adopt Instagram until like maybe a couple years ago. So really Twitter was king there. And we're here where I'm at in the US, Twitter was nothing pretty much, unless you were like in New York or things like that. And so it's really just, it doesn't matter. And there's no like one answer for everything. And there's no one tool that's every business should be adopting, because it just totally depends on who you're trying to reach and how and why.
Yeah, agreed.
There you go. Does that help, Ella?
Absolutely.
Is there any other burning Facebook questions?
Well, you can see, I know you kind of have touched on this, but any benefits to disadvantages for marketing on Facebook? I'll just give you a little bit of background. So we do business all over the world. So one of the main reasons I'm trying to do marketing on Facebook is to reach our audience in India, because they're on LinkedIn, but I feel like I could reach more people on Facebook. So my goal is basically to do the same kind of posts that I do on LinkedIn, probably a little bit more frequently, to try to hit the target hours for Facebook. But yeah, do you have any advantages, disadvantages of marketing on Facebook?
Well, so this kind of goes back to Facebook and what people use it for. So people use it in their personal life. So the challenge you're going to run into, India is a very large country with a lot of people in it. So how do you find the right people in India that you're looking to do? And so I would maybe look, and it kind of depends on India's privacy, laws or whatever, if they fit more in line with the EU or if they're kind of regulated or not. I would look at possibility of maybe creating a community type page or group and then running some ads to try to get people to it. And so really targeting on professionals that do this type of work, that are interested in these types of things, because you're dealing with like billion people, you've got to really start to narrow that down. And, who is that and what do they do? And so once you can start to get directly in front of those people, then you can see if there's even an interest in engaging back with you on that platform. And then if there's not, then you kind of know, well, maybe I should shift to something else instead.
Great. Yeah, and Elaine was saying just try it for 6 months, see if I get any returns on it, and then if not, then just stop doing it. How do you get followers on Facebook? Because I haven't even really played around with it. Like, so if I were to do a community group page, how would I get people to follow it?
Yeah, so one strategy that I see people adopting that's pretty effective is you join other larger groups of, professional community type groups, and you start saying, like, you read their comments, you read their posts, and then if somebody's asking a question like, hey, I'm not really sure, how do I do this? Be like, oh, I have this group and we have those conversations over here, and invite them to join that group. And so that's one tactic. Advertising, which advertising is always this like black hole, they want you to spend money on the platform, and then you get comfortable, you see some results, and then they're like, oh, well, now you need to spend more money to continue that. And so that's always a black hole. I would use that sparingly and use it in like strategic pushes, not all the time happening in the background, because to me, that's not a sustainable kind of growth thing. And really anything with social media and seeing growth, engagement, organic engagement is really the thing that does the most in terms of growing. And it's the same thing on Instagram. Like, you have to go and spend the time engaging with other people and pages to see them engage with you back and follow you back. And so that's the hard part of social media. Is a fairly, low cost, impactful, powerful tool, but it involves a lot of time and energy and effort to do it correctly and make it actually effective.
Sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with when you compare like the advertising and stuff with LinkedIn, because like LinkedIn's stupid money. I am still, I have this conversation with Charlie all the time about LinkedIn, and she's like, I still don't get it, and I get LinkedIn. So whereas Facebook is cheaper, but again, it's exactly what you said, Janelle, go into that black hole, and then they suddenly go, oh, you're doing really well. Let's make sure that you had to put more money in now to get even further reach.
Well, and I found that Twitter and Facebook have been kind of two offenders of this. If I'm running a campaign and I'm pushing people to my website and I'm going on Google Analytics and cross-referencing Facebook's advertising report, it doesn't always match up. And I've noticed that they're really notorious for fake clicks, in terms of you'll be like, oh, I got 40 clicks. And then you go and look at your Google Analytics and it's like, yeah, you had 40 clicks, but your average time on site is 0 seconds. So they didn't even let your page load, but you still had to pay for those 40 clicks, but they were garbage, And so it's finding that balance of getting high quality, good quality things coming from it, and knowing you're always going to have kind of some junk in there always. It could be like, you could be doing local advertising, then there's some random person that has nothing to do with you, be like, I saw this and I'm really curious of what it is. And just because people are curious, and So you'll always have garbage, you'll always have stuff, but it's finding that balance. And when I start campaigns, I start them really small, and then until I get it actively returning in the way that I want, and then I start to scale it up a little bit. So I spend all the trial and error time when I'm spending very little money. I'm doing very little things, and then I can tweak and then put it back out there, see how it's doing, tweak, put it back out there, see how it's doing until I get it performing to how I want it to. And then I put things behind it. So that can kind of help you figure out a little bit during that 6 months on whether or not you're going to do it. Don't just run something and then don't touch it and see how it does. You know, you want to give it enough time to see if it's performing, but don't be afraid to tweak, and only tweak like one thing at a time. So that way, you know what worked and what didn't through that process.
So let me see if I have any other questions. So did you find marketing on these platforms to like add to your business? Like, did you see results because of marketing and advertising on these platforms?
Yeah, it's there's a couple different reasons for it. It helps in that customer journey of engaging and re-engaging and staying relevant to people. So it helps in that effort. It helps in the discovery, getting new people in the door effort. But when it comes to modern day expectations on how people interact with businesses and things like that, I don't really think it's open for negotiation anymore to at least have a base level presence on at least a few platforms. You can sparingly choose which platforms, and I wouldn't choose all of them because that's, you know, like 2 full-time jobs worth of actual work right there. But, you know, pick 1 or 2 that are going to be the best serving for you, and then actually put the time and energy and effort into that. But people also kind of forget what the point of social media is. The point is to be social, and the point is to have that engagement. So, you know, a lot of times companies just like auto post their posts, they're being sent out, and that's it. They're done. They wipe their hands clean of it. And that's not an effective use of using your tool. And so it's kind of just like you buy a car and then you're like, I'm going to ride around on this one wheel. And like, it's just like, yeah, you probably could do that, but like, you're kind of not using the thing as it's meant to, or, you know, efficiently or anything like that. And so you're only getting a fraction of anything from it. Whereas if you actually dedicate the time to do less, but better, then you can actually build something up where it is meaningful and things like that. And social media is not a quick fix for anything. It's a very long game kind of thing. And so people often get really excited in the beginning, and then 6 months later, they're like, yeah, I gained like 100 followers, but I'm still only at like 200 followers, and this is exhausting. And they lose momentum and they kind of just fall off. And then they take like a 2-year hiatus, and then they come back. And then they have a little bit of excitement again. And then it's the kind of this vicious cycle of doing that. And it's a commitment. I'll just say that. And it's okay to do that commitment in a way that is consistent and you can show up in.
Yeah. All right. I think that is all.
I would say it's worth it if you're willing to do it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I'm a little OCD, so I can't not do anything correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I really appreciate all that information. That's really going to help me make my point.
Yeah, absolutely. And Facebook's the challenging one when you're in B2B sales, because like I said, you're trying to reach people in their personal lives and their personal time, and it can be challenging, but once you finally crack the code, then it can be worth it in the long run.
And that's what I'm thinking, because I do know that Facebook, I mean, I have a personal Facebook page, and I wouldn't want to like be associated with business on my personal page. And so obviously other people wouldn't want to be super associated with business of a lot of the time, which is why I really like the idea of building a group page so that people can post in that group, or I can post in that group, and people can see all the stuff that we're posting, all the content. And it doesn't necessarily have to be blasted out to all of their friends and all of their family. So I think that's a really great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, this is going to be good for the next 6 months. We'll watch it. So you better send us a Facebook link so we can keep an eye on what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, one last question that just popped into my mind. Do you have any posts that did particularly well? Because I was doing some research and there were like top 10 posts in general that do well on Facebook. It's questions, behind the scenes, trending topics, branded graphics, stories, videos, product photos, infographics, blogs, industry tips. Do any of those, or do you have any other ones that always performed well for you, like consistently?
I mean, in general, those types of things do well because they're a lot more casual. Like, so if you think about the theme of what all of those types of posts have in common, they're more casual. So it's more of like a peeling back the corporate layer and showing something more human and in more of a casual way. And so you've got to kind of find what works for your audience because it'll be totally different. And then the thing that's frustrating about social media is you're like, this post is really great. It's going to do so well. People are going to love it. You put it out there and then it just like totally flops. And then you have a total crap post where you're just like, this is garbage, but I'm putting it out there and it blows up and people love it. And so sometimes there is no rhyme or reason to what does good and what doesn't. It could be the just random thing of like the time of day, who saw it, how it fueled the growth of it. Like sometimes you can't control the algorithm.
We had one post. So I stole this picture from Michael Dix and it was Lego MX2. Not MX2, it was the scanner. Oh, whatever the scanner's called. Anyway,
SX10.
SX10. I stole the picture off his LinkedIn page and I reposted it in the Get Kin Survey Facebook page, and it got over 60,000 views. It went viral, and I was like, and then Cody from Trimble phones me up and says, "What the hell have you done?" She says, "Our website, everything's gone crazy for these Lego kits, and they're not Lego legs. It's not really Lego. So take that off." I can't. It's got around 60,000 people. She says, "What did you do?" And I said, "I cannot tell you how that worked. I cannot tell you."
I know. And that's the thing is like, sometimes there's just no rhyme or reason. And it just is who saw it at that moment, who engaged with it. And it was then decided to like preference or content because like, it's like, oh, some people engaged. Whereas, the next post, it might be a couple people saw it, but then they engaged a little later. And so it's just like, we're just not going to show this to as many people. So sometimes you just can't explain why things do well. But if you can think of those themes of all of those things that it's recommending, it's okay, I need to be a little bit more personal, a little bit more casual, and have the human kind of layer and element onto what we're posting. And those types of things tend to do well on social media platforms.
Absolutely. And the main goal that like I'm trying to achieve with marketing in general is to build a brand. So it's not always necessarily sell, but it's building, like you said, that relationship, that long lasting relationship where customers can trust us and they know who we are and we have a reputation.
Well, and this is where marketing becomes back to the philosophy and different philosophies. And there's many of them out there, like marketer to marketer, like me and Elaine, we always talk about, we even have differences in philosophies. And that's like a healthy, common thing to have, because at the end of the day, they're just a philosophy on how you want to go about engaging and connecting with people and communicating with them. And so when you have just sell, people start to just tune you out because it's like either I'm open to be sold to or I'm not. And you have to catch them at that one time that they are open to it. And other than that, if they're not open to it, they're just going to tune it out. And so social media is a really great place to form those human kind of connections and showing that more casual side of it and take it away from sell. And usually a recommendation I have is you sell 10% of the time or less on social media. It should be just about those brand and building a brand and building those connections and things like that. And so I'm a big proponent of self-selling in general and content marketing. That's where Elaine and I got started years and years ago, is me pushing the art of the soft sell. And so there's a lot of power in kind of like when going back to how you're reaching out to people in not a creepy way. Like they're marketing, you're at the end of the day, you're putting something out there and trying to get somebody to do what you want them to do. So you've got to kind of build that. So I'm going to put this message out there. And the way that I framed it and the way that I, asked for things is in a very soft way, but it's sneaky because it gets people to open up. It gets people to talk about the problems and challenges they're having. So how can you present something like on a first date ask that's not, creepy or too much too soon, but get them to open up to like third date spilling their guts out, so it's just kind of, it's finding those little things. And that's the fun part about it, is there's no answer to any of those things. It takes experimentation and trial and error to find those kind of things.
Absolutely. And so our marketing plan right now is sell. So I do try my best to put some personal stuff out there and try to build that relationship, but my boss is very much ads have to go out every single week on the dot. We have to push product, which I understand from his point of view with sales. And I mean, it works. We do get leads. I feel like we could get more relationships by doing more of the personal thing, which is kind of what I want to focus on with the Facebook aspect of it. Because I do feel in the long run, we're going to have more of a Facebook following than a LinkedIn following. But we probably will do most of our business still through LinkedIn, even though we might have a bigger following on Facebook. So do you have any like recommendations about how to maybe steer the conversation in a way of more personal posts on LinkedIn? Because I mean, it works. So that's the reason why they're so gung-ho about it, because it works. It's been working for the past year. They've seen a growth in the leads because of the ad posting frequently. And I mean, it is different for every business, like we've been talking about. So do you have any advice around that topic?
Yeah, and it's the same thing for any platform that you're on. You can have ads running behind the scenes with a purpose. So you can still have your product sales ads running. That doesn't affect what your day-to-day marketing organic content is. So those are two separate things, and you need to think of them as two separate things. While they can work together, that's always good if they do. They are two separate things. And so the ads going out, that's fine. There's different ways that you can still get leads in the door without selling anything. So for instance, education's a great way to do that. You know what the problems in your industry are. So for instance, say, I don't know what products you're reselling, but like Trimble, for example, they come out with a new scanner. What's different about this new scanner? It solves this problem that they had in the industry. So then you say, hey friends, we're going to get together for half an hour to talk about how this changes this problem. Would you like to join? And then people are like, yes. And then we're going to talk about, you're not selling that scanner, like front end. You're not like, hey, buy this scanner. You're just like, hey, have you heard about how this solves a problem? And they're like, tell me more, please. And then at the end of the day, they're more open when they learn about it to buy the scanner. So it's just shifting how you're framing that first conversation and getting them in the door and doing it in a much less, kind of direct ask kind of way.
Okay.
Good tips there.
Yeah. Anything else?
Not from me. I've learned a lot though. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, marketing is this huge thing that has many different facets, but it's not always, it can be as simple or as complicated as you want. So for instance, you could even just try out like a small little thing on, say take 2 posts, and you can even on LinkedIn or on Facebook say, hey, we created this group. This group is helping educate people on X, Y, and Z, and you can feel free to post. It's just talking about the industry. And as a reseller, you're going to have a challenge with this, because I always did. Not everybody uses the brand of stuff that you sell. And so you can't, if you open a community thing, you can't discriminate against community industry stuff. And so you're going to see people posting about this, or somebody saying, I don't like that, you should try this brand instead. And that's just part of creating a community, is that's going to happen. And you're going to be like, it's okay, because in the long run, we're going to win anyways. So, so when you're creating that, like say, take 2 posts and then throw a little bit of ad spend behind them, or put them out, and say, hey, we're creating this community. We want it to be really open. We want to talk about new technology. We want to talk about challenges that are being solved, and invite people to participate in that. And then, see how that does. Do a little bit more over here, send an email out to your email list, and start to just do a few things that start to build around that community, and see what the response is. So it doesn't have to be overly complex at the beginning, but it can be pretty simple on just creating a couple posts, a couple messages about it, and inviting people to be open to it. And remember, you've got to sell them on, why would I take time out of my day to go and engage with this offline group? Is it going to be worth it for me? Am I going to get enriched by it? Am I going to get something out of it? I don't want just another place that somebody's trying to sell me something, because they've got that in every aspect of my life hitting me over the head anyways. And so, yep.
Cool. Okay.
Grand. Well, thank you very much, Janelle. Appreciate you coming on.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Because Ella sent me a message last night, and I was like, Facebook marketing, right? Janelle.
Yeah.
Janelle is the whiz behind Facebook. So she's my go-to. So it's like, right, how do you sort this out, especially the technical side of it? So and then LinkedIn with Charlie. So that's the two, like, because they're very big subjects on their own.
Absolutely. And the philosophy can be the same behind them, but you've got to remember they're 2 totally separate things for 2 totally separate reasons. And you've got people in their personal lives and then people in their professional lives. And so you have to deal with them differently too. Yeah,
definitely. So we'll definitely bring Janelle back in. She'll be good for some other little topics, I think. So brilliant. Anything else?
Thanks. Not for me.
Nope. All good.
All right. I'll see
Lots
you
of
guys
work
later.
to do. Anyways,
Yeah.
thanks so much, everybody. Thanks, Janelle. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much, guys.
You're welcome.
Excited for 2023. So
Me too.
Yes.
So that's great.
well, I'll send you a direct message offline, Janelle, for next week.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right,
Bye,
guys.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.